Hello, NCTM. My Thank you for taking the time to watch this video and letting me show you why my students are deserving of the Enhancing Student Mathematics Learning through the Use of Tools and Technology grant. My name is John Harris. I'm a high school math teacher at Johnsburg High School. It's a small little town in the northwest suburbs of Illinois. Besides teaching math, I also coach football and I coach our high school's math team. I want to take you back to when you guys were teenagers. Um, it was a different time. Um, we did everything in pen and pencil. We had older calculators that had four AAA batteries, and we had to go down to a computer lab if we were so lucky to have one for a brief period of time to work on things in the computer lab. Um, Times have changed a little bit. Instead of a computer lab, every kid's got a Chromebook or an iPad. Calculators have changed. Uh, the thing that hasn't changed though is still being a forgetful teenager. If you forgot a pencil, you could probably ask your buddy or ask a teacher or something to write with. Now everybody is doing all their notes and assignments on the computer on their Chromebook. However, kids are still forgetful and they forget to charge their Chromebook and they forget to charge their calculators or sometimes even bring their calculators. Um, the Chromebooks are a little bit older. They're from 2020, right when COVID hit. And quite frankly, the battery just is not as good as it used to be. We need chargers in the classroom. We also need new TI-84 calculators. Number of students are using the calculators we did, the TI-83, or the older version of a TI-84. Both those require four AAA batteries. They do not have the same computing power. They are lacking a lot of the applications, such as the Inequals app. It's really hard for them to graph inequalities, and all they are in black and white. And it's a lot easier to understand things in color, to see things where they're overlapping, just to see a shaded area. More applications, and the battery life is better on these. They're lithium ion battery, they're rechargeable, they last a lot longer. And we have a lot of kids who don't have access to this because of financial constraints. Students also want feedback for their lesson. I remember when I was a student, I'm sure you can too, waiting a couple days to get feedback from homework from your teacher, see if things were right or wrong. Um, we're in an age now where we can get feedback instantaneously. We're in that age of TikTok where, if they don't get an answer in 10 seconds, it's in their brain and out. They don't care anymore. We need to get that feedback back to them right away. The trend that we're going to be addressing is analytic technologies. This allows us to collect data about students and make those decisions in real time to really help their learning and support them as well. It creates trends, it creates graphs. We're able to sift through the data really easily. There's different filters, and we're able to throw out outliers. We're able to see trends and really help that learning. The tool we use for that analytic technology is Formative. It's a tool that allows us to turn those boring worksheets into digital assignments where it can give the students feedback right away. We can set it if the problem is correct, or we can set it for an answer key. If the problem is correct, it will light up green for good or red for incorrect. If we want to give partial credit, there's yellow as well. The data collected from Formative will allow the teacher to address any common misconceptions quickly and allow the teacher to create groups based on ability and give instantaneous feedback to students. There's a couple different versions. Uh, we would be hopeful for the extended license for the Pro package. It allows us to embed videos, embed audio clips, um, embed graphs, and and not have a limit of the number of worksheets that we're able to create through Formative. So having that premium license would be super beneficial. Another thing that would be super beneficial is to make sure every student had a color TI-84 graphing calculator. I have the TI emulator that shows them how to go through these types of problems, and it's super helpful to know how to use that calculator. So it's really helping them set up for the next step. Some of our students will be going to the military, some the workforce right away, but a lot of them will be going to college and they'll be using these calculators in those math classes. I'll also be using Google Slides and Google Forms. Those are free, but I will be using this for my lesson. I'm going to show you how. The lesson that I'll be doing is linear programming. It's in my Algebra 2 class. It's primarily juniors, and this lesson takes about 5 days to do. For learning objectives is graphing system of inequalities, finding vertices of a polygon, finding minimum and maximum values, and actually creating a mathematical model with a given word problem. A lot of times our students are going to want to make money, whether they create a business or they go into business. The whole point of that is to create as much profit as possible. And that's what we're going to do with these problems. Materials needed for this is their school issue Chromebook, but we do need chargers to make sure that students are able to actually use their Chromebooks. The TI-84 calculator and emulator, the Desmos calculator, Formative, the extended license with that, Google Slides, Google Forms, and Screencastify for me to record how to use on my TI emulator to post that so students can reference that so they know how to use their calculator. Day one, I'm going to show them how to use their TI-84 graphing calculator using the emulator. And they'll be able to find the shaded area using the different applications on their graphing calculator. And we'll be able to use an objective function to find the minimum and maximum values of those inequalities. I'm going to post some problems to Desmos, to Formative. They will get instant feedback for a couple problems, and then a couple problems I will be grading myself. And I can turn on how they get feedback and which problems they can get feedback on. The premium version of Formative also allows me to chat with students individually. For students who don't necessarily want to raise their hand, I'm able to privately chat with them and say how they're doing on these assignments. On day two, we're going to go through setting up a word problem and create inequalities out of that. On day three, I will be putting those two lessons together where they get a word problem, they have to set up the inequality, and then they actually have to find the maximum profit that they can make. Again, we'll be using Formative to go through a couple problems. They'll get feedback on a couple, and then a couple I will be grading individually. I'll be letting students go on Google Forms and say who they work well with. However, go back to when you were teenagers, you're just going to select your friends. That's where Formative comes into play, and I'm able to go through the data and put students together based off ability level. On day four, they're going to create their own individual lesson plans or word problems, and they will solve it. And then the last day, they're going to share those word problems with everybody, and they will have a chance to solve each other's word problems. For this, though, I do think my students are deserving of your grant for chargers, for new calculators, for the licensure for Formative. All of this technology is really going to help my students, and they are more than deserving. Just because they don't have as much money as other districts doesn't mean they don't deserve the same opportunities. Please consider Johnsburg High School for this grant. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.